Hi guys, we're going to make some chicken feeders today. In the past, what I've used is a 4-inch PVC pipe about 4 feet long with caps on each end. And I've taken a Dremel and I've cut a square out of the top so that all the food sits in the tray and the chickens put their heads on there and get them. And I leave enough of a lip that it doesn't really spill out. And that's great and all, but what happens is that I basically once a day I have to go and top off all the feeders, and so I'm looking for something that is a little bit more maintenance free, where instead of having to go fill up all the feeders, I just have to kind of spot check the pens, and I'm trying to build some sustainability for a longer period of time than just one day with a trough feeder. So I saw this on I think it was Pinterest, and so it's definitely not my design by any means, but I'm gonna make a video about what we're doing. I think I'll have about 22 bucks into this setup, and I went ahead and splurged a little bit. I got these twist top bucket things. So this is like a regular bucket top, right? But it's twists here. I just thought this would be easier than prying off. These were like $8 a piece, so this was a significant part of the expense. Also, my Lowe's had these buckets are kind of opaque, and so I thought that would help me kind of be able to see when there's something in there and what level it's at. Maybe I can eventually start to realize how many gallons I'll go by in a particular day. So basically what we're gonna do is, and I haven't decided whether I'm gonna do 3 or 4, but we're gonna put this here and we're gonna trace it out with a Sharpie. And then we're gonna cut it with a Dremel. And we're gonna stick this in here, and I have some clear silicone that we're gonna put around there just to kind of hold it in place. But it's basically gonna go in there kind of like so. Right, and so the chicken's head will go in and be able to feed, and the stuff will just continue to drop down. So like I said, I haven't decided, I haven't really decided whether I'm going to do 4 ports. I have enough to do 4 ports a bucket. I just don't know if that's going to make it too unstable, but we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to start by just kind of picking a spot for the first one of these. Okay, we're gonna try that. This got a little hard to draw. And I got this Dremel with one of those drill bits that cut. And so I'm just gonna So the trick with this, I guess, is you've got to spin it as fast as possible. And don't let it bounce around or it'll make a circle hole. I was not expecting that to be the difficult part of this. So I'm not perfectly happy with how that turned out, but I'm also not going to waste the bucket, so I'm going to go ahead and get the glue. I'll try to do better on the other one. So I'm using clear RTV silicone adhesive, and I'm just going to run a bead and your hole doesn't have to be perfect because of this. There we go. I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit. Set that right over there out of the sun. I'm gonna at least let that dry for a little bit. And we'll be right back. Okay, so I've learned a few things as I was doing this. One thing that I learned is that you need to cut all the holes at once. You need to cut all the holes at once. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the other 2 holes. So what I ended up doing with this one, I got the holes cut. By the way, it seems that with this stuff, which I am using 4-inch 45s, it seems with this stuff you're only going to be able to get 3 in there. There's no way you're going to get 4. It's just not going to happen. This one's still wet. Just kind of trying to smooth the silicone. So what I found is that you do the 3 holes first, okay, and then you I found that I could put 2 in really well, let them dry, and then put the last one in and then let it dry. So this one's still drying. The one on the one facing you guys is drying, but this is basically the feeder. So I've done some experimenting, and this is basically a finished bucket. Okay, so we've got 3 pieces in there. They're all siliconed in. Silicone's still drying, but we're gonna walk through building one of those from scratch. So we've got this bucket over here. There's 3 of these. What we're gonna do on this particular bucket, I've been putting one here, and one here, because I want to keep that accessible. I've been using a Sharpie, and I've been using this Dremel bit. I would say that this Dremel bit is very aggressive, and I don't know that I would really recommend using this. I don't know. There's many ways that people cut on these buckets. I thought this would be like the most controlled. What I found is if you like put only the tip in, it kind of like bounces around. I found that if you run it right up here at the very collar of the bit, there's a little bit more control over it, but it's still not great by any means. So the other thing that I found is that you don't want this too low. You actually want it like no lower than like 2 inches from the bottom, it seems. I'm gonna stick this in. But I'm getting better. The first one was pretty rough, a lot of silicone. So like I said, what I found is that the more in you keep this bit and just use the collar, the more controlled it is. So this is the hole we got. I just want to make sure one of these fit. And I'm going to make the top part here just a teensy bit bigger. Okay. I don't want to oversize the holes too much because I want it to be kind of tight, but I don't want to crack it either. Like that. Okay, so like that's a pretty tight hole. So at least I know it fits. And then I'll get this back out, and we're gonna go and get the other one taped in. So I've got that. I'm gonna take 2 of them. I'm gonna do the better hole first. That last one I showed you got a little off. It's fixable, isn't it? Perfect. I prefer it that tight. So now that this is in here, I'm gonna take our silicone and I'm gonna start with this one. I'm just basically running a bead around, and then that has to sit. And so we're going to carefully do the other one. Okay, so it's been about, I'd say it's been about an hour. I've been working on some other buckets. We're going to stick this one. Remember, we've got that one unfinished side. I'm going to go ahead and stick this in here. We're going to put these on here. Take one of these bucket lids we bought, and we're going to put these on here. So this just goes straight down like a regular bucket. And it went down. Now once those lids are in, now it rolls. So now what I got to do, I'm gonna go get these hung up in the pens, and then I'm gonna fill the feed in. And as the feed falls down, the chickens will be able to get their heads in here to the feed, and this should last a lot longer. So that is basically what we're doing. And that's basically what we've built. I'm probably gonna give them 24 hours to dry before I put feed in here, but I'm gonna hang them and at least get them hung up. So. Okay, so that pretty much concludes our bucket chicken feeder using PVC 45s. It was a pretty easy project. I would say the buckets took under an hour. You might consider finding something else to cut it with, or if you do use what I use to cut, make sure you just keep it all the way pushed in, just using the collar of the drill bit to cut. Otherwise it tends to wander around, but I think that these will work a lot better than our trough feeders that I made out of PVC. We've got about 22 bucks into each of these buckets. That includes the lid, which was $8 of that. So I think these will work out really well. I don't think they'll spill much because it'll have to get out of the PVC, and it'll keep me from having to check feed every morning. Keep me from having to put feed in every morning. Obviously, you know, you should always walk around and kind of do your morning checks, but yeah, also stay tuned. We have a video coming out of my watering solution that waters all of the chicken pens on a 55-gallon drum. So stay tuned for that as well, and keep an eye out for that. Definitely like and subscribe, and we'll continue bringing more videos of things from the farm. Thanks.